Chapter 21 Born with the Supreme Sword Bone, a Big Reward Package. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was a feeling she'd never experienced with anyone before. Almost without thinking, Su Lingyun used her spiritual sense to scan Ye Chen, surprised to find the young man had no cultivation aura whatsoever. He's a total mortal. Did I imagine it? Is he really just an ordinary guy? Su Lingyun started to second-guess herself. Tao Yaoyao was floored when she saw her senior sister focused on a boy. Su Lingyun had tons of admirers back at Luoyue Holy Land, but none of them ever caught her eye. Could she be falling for a mortal? Tao Yaoyao teased, "He's cute, right, senior sister?" Su Lingyun nodded before she could think, "He is kinda cute," but the words were barely out of her mouth when she realized what she'd said. Her cheeks flushed, and she shot a glare at the smirking Tao Yaoyao. Senior sister, the Holy Land's crawling with talented, handsome guys, and plenty of them come from old money. Why go after a mortal? Oh, I get it, you're a rebel at heart. Tao Yaoyao was practically bouncing with glee. It was the first time she'd ever seen Su Lingyun blush. Su Lingyun reached out, ready to swat the smart-mouthed girl. All kidding aside, senior sister, if the geniuses back at the Holy Land found out you were messing around with a mortal, it would be a total disaster. Tao Yaoyao dropped the teasing tone and turned serious. Su Lingyun sighed, "I'm not interested in him. I just think he's odd." She glanced at Ye Chen again, then refocused on the qualification test. One after another, hopefuls were turned away, their dreams crushed. Zhang San, 3-star rating, failed. Lin Bei, 2-star rating, get outta here. Wang Junjie, 4-star rating, move it along. Over at the Qingshu Sword Sect Station, one of the elders in charge of testing was getting antsy. After a whole day, how were they still getting duds? Deng Tiancheng, 5-star rating, meets the standard. Finally, a 5-star genius. The other young hopefuls looked on with a mix of envy and bitterness. Deng Tiancheng puffed out his chest, acting like he already owned the place. From now on, he was better than everyone around him. They weren't even worthy to look him in the eye. Su Jian, 1-star rating, absolute garbage, get lost. The elder barked at a young man who didn't make the cut, ready to kick the 1-star loser down the mountain himself. The crowd snickered at Su Jian, mocking him mercilessly. Sure, they'd been rejected too, but seeing someone even worse made them feel a little better. Surrounded by the jeers, Su Jian hung his head and walked away in silence, feeling like a million knives were stabbing him in the chest. Why? Why can't I even reach 5 stars? Am I just not cut out for this? Su Jian's heart ached. He was driven by a blood feud. He'd hoped to avenge his parents through cultivation, but now it looked like he wouldn't even get the chance to cultivate. Just then, a nasty voice broke through his thoughts. Hey, what's this? A 1-star talent? Oh, it's just Su Jian. Haha, guess what? I, Deng Tiancheng, got a 5-star rating and I'm joining the Qingshu Sword Sect. We're on totally different paths now. Hey, kneel down and beg me. Maybe, just maybe, once I'm a big success, I'll help you avenge your parents. Hahaha. Deng Tiancheng, basking in his newfound glory, sauntered over, his cruel words like a slap in the face. He and Su Jian came from the same village. Su Jian was always honorable, while Deng Tiancheng was a bully. They'd never gotten along. Now that Deng Tiancheng was about to hit the big time, and Su Jian was stuck with a 1-star rating, Deng Tiancheng couldn't be happier. Deng Tiancheng, don't get cocky. Someday I'll knock you on your ass. Su Jian roared at Deng Tiancheng, who had deliberately twisted the knife by bringing up his parents' deaths. The guy was just plain evil. But Deng Tiancheng only grinned wider. Hahaha, I'll be waiting. But with your 1-star talent, no sect's going to touch you with a 10-foot pole. Just give up. Every word was like a punch in the gut. Su Jian wanted to fire back, but thinking about his pathetic 1-star rating, he was speechless. In the distance, Su Lingyun and Tao Yaoyao had noticed the commotion. That's rough. Only 1-star talent. Su Lingyun sighed. This world was a cold place. If you had power, you had a voice. If you didn't, you were nobody. She felt for Su Jian, but she had to admit, with his 1-star rating, he was probably screwed for life, unless a miracle happened. Just as Su Jian was silently enduring Deng Tiancheng's taunts, a tall young man stepped in front of him. It was Ye Chen. Su Jian, join my sect. I'll be your teacher, and I'll help you cultivate. Ye Chen's voice was calm. Su Jian, born with the supreme sword bone, not yet awakened, has emperor-level qualifications. Emperor level. That was Su Jian's real potential. The star platform couldn't detect it because the supreme sword bone was still dormant. If it ever awakened, the star platform would probably explode. Huh? Me? Su Jian looked bewildered. Was he talking to him? Did he want to take him in to cultivate? Was he hearing things? He had a 1-star rating, less than worthless, and this guy was offering to take him on. That's right. I'm talking about you. Ye Chen nodded. Su Jian looked at the young man, who was probably his age, and wondered if he should believe him. What made this kid think he was qualified to teach anyone? But then, remembering his own garbage rating, Su Jian made up his mind. What did he have to lose? If someone was willing to take him, that was all that mattered. It wasn't like he could afford to be picky. And besides, if he was totally useless, why would the guy even bother lying? Disciple Su Jian, pays respects to master. Su Jian knelt down and kowtowed, proper and respectful. Good. From today on, you are my 3rd disciple. A satisfied smile spread across Ye Chen's face. The system chimed in immediately. Ding. Apprenticeship successful. Disciple Su Jian was born with supreme sword bones and emperor-level qualifications. Apprenticeship reward has been distributed. Please pay attention to the host to check. The surrounding crowd was dumbfounded. What the hell were these two doing? Everyone had heard Su Jian's rating, 1 star. The absolute bottom of the barrel, and this guy was taking him on as a disciple. Even more unbelievable, the guy doing the recruiting was just a kid, barely older than Su Jian himself, and he didn't even have any cultivation aura. This was comedy gold. Chapter 22 caused huge turmoil. Everyone went crazy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This scene dropped everyone's jaws. Some nobody kid, totally lacking in cultivation, taking a 1-star loser as a disciple. No storyteller would dare dream up a plot that ridiculous. After a stunned silence, the onlookers erupted in laughter. Ha ha ha, dude, what podunk sect are you from? What level do you even have to be to start handing out apprenticeships? Never heard of anyone dumb enough to take on a 1-star chump. I'll be laughing about this all year. That's not how you find diamonds in the rough, man. Picking up a 1-star loser. Seriously? If you're gonna take a chance, at least go for a 4-star, right? Get real. The guy doesn't even have a trace of cultivation, but he wants to teach. Sounds like a total con artist. The crowd couldn't stop mocking Ye Chen and Su Jian, who, to them, looked like clowns put on earth to be laughed at. Not far away, Su Lingyun and Tao Yaoyao found the whole thing hilarious. Su Lingyun was even more convinced she'd misjudged him. The boy was just a regular Joe, decent looking maybe, but nothing special. Senior, you think maybe he's some hidden genius we just can't see? Tao Yaoyao teased. No one believed Su Jian was a genuine prodigy. Tao Yaoyao was just poking fun. Su Lingyun covered her smile and scolded playfully, Yaoyao, that's mean. Remember our training. We don't laugh at people. Not usually. Okay, Tao Yaoyao pouted. Su Jian, meanwhile, took the jeers in stride. Ye Chen, for his part, was checking out his new rewards. Awarded, Original Sword Palace. Awarded, 2 Immortal King summoning cards. Awarded, Zhuxian Sword Array. Awarded, Skill Eternal Sword Way, Emperor Level. Awarded, Sutra Pavilion. Awarded, 100 True Dragon Elixirs. Ye Chen felt a wave of satisfaction. This was what you got for Emperor-level qualifications. The goods were top-notch. He could check the details later. For now, he needed to pass on the eternal sword way to Su Jian and help him awaken the supreme sword bone, while Ye Chen was absorbed in the system info. Deng Tiancheng, the loudmouth from before, was still cackling like a hyena. Ha ha ha. I'm dying over here. Su Jian, what garbage can finally manage to pick you up? Trash belongs in the dumpster. Me? I'm about to be a disciple of the Qingshu sword sect. You'll be looking up to me for the rest of your life. Deng Tiancheng was practically slapping the floor with his knee. He was laughing so hard, Ye Chen ignored the commotion. He touched a finger to Su Jian's forehead and said, "Now, I'm going to activate your potential and teach you a skill at the same time." Su Jian wasn't ready. In an instant, it felt like his soul had been transported to another dimension. His physical body was being upgraded, every nerve pathway was being cleared, and his blood and bones were changing. Most noticeably, his spine radiated an incredible sword energy that shot straight into the sky, morphing into a colossal, ghostly sword that pierced the clouds. That terrifying sword energy, radiating from his body, spread like a shockwave capable of leveling cities. Every sword for miles around shuddered, as if bowing down in submission, or maybe trembling with excitement. The vision terrified everyone, who scrambled to hold on to their weapons, terrified they'd lose control. The phenomenon was so intense, it was sure to have alerted high-ranking officials in the sect. Inside the Qingshu sword sect, when the sect leader felt the breathtaking sword energy and saw the shadow of the immense, sky-piercing sword, his jaw hit the floor. It's the legendary supreme bone. It has to be the supreme sword bone, that the Qingshu sect leader yelled. Other senior officials appeared, looking shocked. Normally unflappable, their faces were now etched with disbelief. It's true. According to the ancient texts, this is the birth of the supreme sword bone. This is the legendary supreme sword bone. The Qingshu sword sect only produced one, 30,000 years ago. We have to get this one. This is huge. This is gonna put the Qingshu sword sect on the map. Maybe we can finally cultivate an immortal emperor of swordsmanship. That the senior officials got more and more worked up. The thought of producing a real immortal emperor of swordsmanship made them tremble with excitement. Enough talk, let's get to the Fulong Mountains. We have to bring the supreme sword bone back to the sect immediately, that the Qingshu sect leader shouted. Then with a wave of his robe, his body turned into a blur as he rocketed toward the Fulong Mountains. The rest of the senior officials trailed close behind, practically the entire sect being mobilized. But the Qingshu sword sect wasn't the only one making moves. The Haran Pavilion, Jubao Tian sect, Guiyuan sect, Shadow Moon sect, Tiangang Dao sect, every powerful sect had mobilized. A supreme sword bone was worth the attention. If a 9-star genius could become a true disciple, someone with the supreme sword bone was heir material. 10 9-star geniuses didn't equal one supreme sword bone. Practically every major sect in the Luoyue realm was on the move, all fighting for a chance to claim the sword bone. Meanwhile, back in the Fulong Mountains, Su Jian, now with his supreme sword bone awakened, roared to the heavens, sending a powerful shockwave in every direction. His cultivation had already broken through to the foundation building stage. Just moments before, he was a nobody, stuck in the body refining realm, but in a flash, he'd shot through the body refining and chi refining stages to reach the foundation building stage. Without a hitch, finally, the visions faded, and the towering sword retreated into his spine. Su Jian felt the power coursing through him. He'd never felt so strong, like he could unleash a dozen sword strikes with a flick of his wrist. His understanding of swordsmanship had increased 1,000-fold. He saw the world as a collection of sword energies. Such was the power of the innate supreme sword bone. Thank you, Master. You have given me a great gift. I will never forget your kindness. I would gladly give my life for you. Su Jian, completely transformed, fell to his knees and kowtowed to Ye Chen. Overcome with gratitude, Ye Chen smiled and accepted his disciple's gesture. Disciple, you now have the power. You know what needs to be done, right? Ye Chen asked. Su Jian's gaze shot to Deng Tiancheng, the one who had been mocking him and disrespecting his deceased parents. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He had swallowed his anger before because he was powerless. But now, he would take back his dignity, and kill the beast who had disrespected his parents. Su Jian. We grew up together. We're practically friends. Don't kill me. I was wrong. So wrong. Deng Tiancheng had been stunned speechless by the vision of Su Jian's sword bone. He looked into Su Jian's murder intent and fell to his knees, begging. Never in his wildest dreams did he think that the loser he could bully would be completely transformed in the blink of an eye. What was happening? Too late. I'm going to kill you. Su Jian hissed, seeing that his pleas were ignored. Deng Tiancheng panicked, and with a snarl, threatened, I'm practically a disciple of the Qingshu sword sect already. If you kill me, you're going against them. You wouldn't dare lay a hand on me. Su Jian hesitated. The Qingshu sword sect was powerful. Would he cause trouble for his master? But he looked into Ye Chen's eyes and saw approval, and all hesitation vanished. He formed his index and middle fingers into a sword and unleashed a piercing blade of energy. Deng Tiancheng was dead. Chapter 23 The Big Moves of Each Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Heads down. Deng Tiancheng's gonna die with his eyes wide open. He never even saw it coming. His sweet life in the Qingshu sword sect cut short before it even began. And to be taken out by Su Jian, the guy he looked down on the most, with one move. Brutal. Blood splattered, sending everyone scrambling back, eyes wide with fear as they looked at Su Jian, especially those who were laughing along with Deng Tiancheng. They clammed up, trying to fade into the crowd, hoping not to catch his eye. These green kids might not know what a supreme sword bone even is, but they knew Su Jian had just pulled off something huge, showing he was way more than met the eye. Standing near him felt like facing 1,000 newly sharpened blades. Not far away, Su Lingyun and Tao Yaoyao were completely stunned. They finally realized Su Jian was a super genius, and quite possibly the legendary Supreme Sword Bone. Supreme Sword Bone. With a physique like that, he's practically unbeatable with a sword. Once he becomes an Immortal Sword Emperor, his power will wipe the floor with almost any other Immortal Emperor. Su Lingyun's voice trembled. You barely see geniuses like this in Luoyue Holy Land, let alone the Qingshu sword sect. Having just one is like hitting the lottery. And to think a supposedly useless guy with 1-star skills turns out to be a supreme sword bone after a quick lesson from that kid? Senior sister, looks like we majorly messed up, Tao Yaoyao said, sounding deflated. Su Lingyun gave a bitter smile. Messed up? We were completely blind. If they knew Su Jian was the supreme sword bone, they could have grabbed him right away and skipped all this drama. The Luoyue Holy Land would have a future Immortal Emperor in their ranks. We might still have a shot. Everyone wants to join Luoyue Holy Land, right? Su Lingyun said softly. When it came to Luoyue Holy Land, she was confident. Who in the wild immortal world didn't dream of joining a Holy Land? Plus, with the Holy Land's training, the Supreme Sword Bone's full potential could be unlocked, giving him a real shot at becoming an Immortal Emperor. She figured Su Jian wasn't dumb. He should choose Luoyue Holy Land. By now, the elders in charge of the qualification tests had snapped out of their shock and were rushing towards Su Jian, eager to recruit him. Su Jian, I'm an elder of the Qingshu sword sect. You've got amazing talent with a sword. Only we are equipped to train you. The same elder who just gave Su Jian the boot was now tripping over himself to win him over, like he hadn't just tried to ditch him 5 minutes ago. Su Jian couldn't help but sneer. This world was hilarious. The elder, who was just acting all high and mighty, was now fawning all over him. Talk about a 180. Su Jian shot him a look that could kill. Elder, if I remember right, you just told me to get lost. The elder forced a smile, looking like he was about to cry, and stammered, No. I knew you were a genius all along. I was just testing you. Join our Qingshu sword sect, and your future will be limitless. The elder pulled out all the stops to recruit Su Jian. He was kicking himself. Should have been nicer the first time around. Su Jian stared at him like he was a clown. He was unmoved. Sorry, I already have a master. Your Qingshu sword sect is too good for the likes of me. Su Jian said coldly. He couldn't forget how that elder had treated him. Everything he had now was thanks to his master. He wasn't about to ditch him and join another sect. That was messed up. Su Jian would never be that ungrateful. Oh, him. What does he know? He just happened to be there when your powers awakened. He's useless. He makes no difference to you. The elder talked down to Ye Chen, not thinking his involvement had anything to do with Su Jian's transformation. What could someone with zero visible skills do? Little did he know, that this earned him a face full of death stares from Su Jian. Even though they had only met earlier that day, Su Jian knew Ye Chen was the one who changed his destiny, gave him his talent, and saved his life. Anyone who spoke ill of his master was his mortal enemy. Ye Chen said calmly, "Old man, you're running your mouth." He didn't care about bullying the weak. It wasn't worthy of him, but if a mosquito keeps buzzing in your ear, wouldn't you just want to swat it? You little punk, you. The elder was furious and pointed at Ye Chen, ready to rip him a new one. He thought if he could get rid of Ye Chen, Su Jian would have no choice but to join him, but before he could finish his sentence, Ye Chen gave him a quick glance, and the elder vanished into thin air. No blood, no body, just poof. Whoa, everyone's jaw dropped. A living, breathing person just disappeared. Without a trace. What the heck just happened? They all knew Ye Chen was responsible, but they couldn't figure out how he did it. Was the elder actually dead? But nobody saw how. Su Lingyun's eyes were wide with terror. She didn't see Ye Chen make a move even with her powerful senses. She hadn't picked up on the elder's presence just now. That meant the guy was gone. That's terrifying. He's way stronger than me. He's not just some random guy, he's an unfathomable master. Su Lingyun had been ready to use the Luoyue Holy Land's name to try and take Su Jian from Ye Chen, but now? No way. She wasn't even sure she could survive a fight with Ye Chen. I'm in the void refining stage, and I still can't see how deep he is. Where did he even come from? Su Lingyun was scared out of her mind. She wasn't about to underestimate Ye Chen again. The remaining elders from the other sects realized they'd better take off before they disappeared too, but things weren't over yet. Suddenly, several powerful auras appeared on the horizon. These auras were sharp, like swords cutting through the sky. In the Luoyue realm, the only ones with that kind of presence were the Qingshu sword sect, and whoever was coming was clearly high-ranking and powerful. Is that the leader of the Qingshu sword sect? And a bunch of senior elders? Why are there so many of them? The disciple recruiting elders from other sects thought they were hallucinating. Qingshu sword sect had brought out the heavy artillery. Even the sect leader was here. How badly did they want Su Jian, the supreme sword bone? Chapter 24 Fighting for Resources. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the big shots from Qingshu's sword sect materialized, the entire Fulong mountain range buzzed with shock and disbelief. To most, the Qingshu sword sect leader and these high-ranking elders were figures they'd never dream of meeting. And now, they were all here. Waves of terrifying power radiated from them, blanketing the whole Fulong mountains, not just the younger crowd. Even Su Lingyun and Tao Yaoyao, who hailed from a holy land, felt the immense pressure. If I'm not mistaken, the Qingshu sword sect leader's power is at least at the fusion stage. Su Lingyun looked grave. After all, he was the head of a sect, so he couldn't be weak. The Qingshu sword sect was a pretty powerful group in the Luoyue realm, so it made sense that their leader would be at the fusion stage, and there were 6 more bigwigs like Master Qingshu. Meaning, all 6 of the Qingshu sword sect people were at least at the fusion stage. Things just got real. That kid's got a supreme sword bone. I wonder if he can handle this. Tao Yaoyao wasn't her usual bubbly self, she was much more cautious. if she weren't a disciple of the Luoyue Holy Land, she wouldn't know what to do facing so many powerhouses all alone. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve, Su Lingyun murmured. She still couldn't forget the sight of Ye Chen vaporizing a nascent soul powerhouse with just a glance. Meanwhile, the young man looked unfazed, like he didn't grasp the gravity of the situation. The Qingshu sect leader spotted Su Jian, who was giving off intense sword energy, and his eyes lit up. He was truly worthy of the supreme sword body. Even before formal training, he was already as sharp as a sword. Wouldn't it be a major score to have him as a disciple? Young man, I'm the head of the Qingshu sword sect. I know you're a swordsmanship prodigy, and I've come to take you on as my disciple. Come, be my student. Master Qingshu said with a smile. The announcement of his identity caused a stir. It really was Master Qingshu. His personal confirmation carried serious weight. Everyone's eyes were glued to him. Master Qingshu, he was the ultimate boss they all dreamed of being mentored by. Getting accepted as a disciple by such a heavyweight would make their life. Everyone stared at Su Jian with envy, their eyes practically burning with the desire to take his place. If it were them, they'd have jumped at the chance. But Su Jian remained calm, like he hadn't even heard Master Qingshu. The Qingshu sect master's personal recruitment seemed almost laughable to him. If he were still a nobody, would a big shot like Master Qingshu bother to recruit him in person? Let's be real, Master helped him awaken the supreme sword bone first, and then these guys started paying attention, right? Everyone waited for Su Jian's answer. With so many high-ranking officials from Qingshu sword sect, how much more sincere could they be? Qingshu sect leader frowned, annoyed. Anyone would be ecstatic at this show of force. Having him lead the recruitment personally should be a huge honor for these young people. Su Jian had no reason to refuse. Just as Qingshu sect leader was losing patience and about to try again, several powerful auras appeared in the sky. As they got closer, everyone recognized the outfits of these people and gasped, wasn't that the uniform of Haran Pavilion? It's someone from Haran Pavilion. Could the leader of this group be the pavilion master himself? That'd be insane. It really is Haran Pavilion. Must be a high-ranking official. Otherwise, how would they compete with Qingshu sword sect? Damn, all the big guns are here today. What a spectacle, not everyone whispered in surprise, their eyes glued to the newcomers. Humph. What's Haran Pavilion doing here? This is none of your business. Qingshu sect leader scoffed, annoyed. The supreme sword bone should belong to a sect that specializes in swordsmanship. Haran Pavilion wasn't focused on swordplay. Why were they horning in on this? Pavilion Master Haran chuckled. No one turns down a supreme sword bone. Besides, Qingshu sword sect isn't the only one that can teach swordsmanship, right? Then let's each try to snag him based on our own merits. Master Qingshu said, not wanting to waste time arguing. However, Haran Pavilion was just one competitor. Next came the bigwigs from Jubao Tianzong, Guiyuan sect, Shadow Moon sect, and Tiangang Dao sect. Dozens of powerful figures hung high in the sky, casting their shadow over Fulong Mountains. The sheer force of their energy was already making the younger generation struggle to breathe. Even a strong cultivator like Su Lingyun felt the pressure. Who wouldn't, with dozens of fusion stage powerhouses looming overhead? No one could believe that so many big shots had shown up just to recruit one person. Everyone was so jealous of Su Jian. To receive this kind of attention. A life goal unlocked. Damn, I wish I was Su Jian. Getting to pick from several sects. Talk about exciting. Young man, the Treasure Judgment Heavenly Sect will give you 50,000 spiritual stones a year, plus you won't have to worry about any rare ingredients. Come with us, you won't regret it. The leader of Jubao Tianzong, known for his wealth, started his pitch. For Jubao, no problem couldn't be solved with enough spiritual stones. And if a few didn't work, they'd throw in even more. Spiritual stones are nothing. Join our Guiyuan sect, and we'll train you to become an Immortal Emperor. The leader of Guiyuan sect made a bold claim, but the people from Tiangang Dao sect couldn't help laughing. You guys don't even have an Immortal Emperor, and you're gonna train someone else to be one? Do you even believe that? Come to our Tiangang Dao sect instead. We're the most established. Our techniques are even fragments of emperor-level skills. Fragments was just a nicer way of saying it was a relatively complete emperor-level exercise, with a missing second half. Even incomplete emperor-level skills were rare treasures. Other sects only had immortal-level skills at best. There was no comparing to a god-level fragment. Suddenly, all the sects started throwing out their best offers, hoping to win Su Jian over. The increasing value of these offers was reaching a crazy level. Not just the clueless youngsters, even Su Lingyun, who was from the Luoyue Holy Land, was impressed. They were really pulling out all the stops to recruit the supreme sword bone. The treasures they were promising could raise a proud son or daughter of the Holy Land. Still, Su Jian remained silent because he hadn't gotten a chance to speak. Finally, the leader of Qingshu's sect huffed in annoyance. Young man, I'll just say this, when it comes to training sword cultivators, our Qingshu sword sect is the best. So, what's your choice? Chapter 25 I am the only one in heaven and on earth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Following Qingshu's sect leader's question, all eyes zeroed in on Su Jian. Some figured he'd go with Treasure Ju Tian's sect or Tiangang Dao sect, but most bets were on Qingshu's sword sect. The whole place went dead quiet. Su Jian felt the pressure, but he stood firm, not letting any shiny offers sway him. He looked up, voice ringing out, I'm not joining any sect. I already have a master. He's standing right here. That the crowd erupted. Nobody expected Su Jian to pass on every single one of them. Sure, this guy spotted talent, but what could he even offer? Why stick with a nobody when you could be learning from the best? Didn't Su Jian get it? The hopefuls who wanted his spot were grinding their teeth. These prestigious sects they couldn't even dream of getting into were practically begging Su Jian to join, and he was turning them all down. Infuriating. If they could, they'd happily knock Su Jian out and choose a sect for him. Man, kids are so clueless. He could have it all, but he's choosing a dead end. If I were him, I'd be at Qingshu sword sect already. No brainer. Such talent wasted on him. Wish I had his chance. Everyone was buzzing, either jealous or envious. Qingshu's sect leader and the others were floored. This was the answer they got. These big-shot elders stared in disbelief, hardly able to believe their ears. He was passing up the opportunity of a lifetime to follow some nobody. What was he thinking? The Qingshu sect leader was fuming. He wanted to give Su Jian a piece of his mind, but this was not the time. Damn it, if he wasn't the supreme sword bone, he'd have blasted him into oblivion. Son, think this through. What can he offer you? We at Qingshu sword sect can train you to become a sword emperor in the future. That the sword emperor was the ultimate badass in the desolate immortal world. There'd only been a handful throughout history. It was the dream, but almost nobody ever got there. So, the title sword emperor was definitely something to strive for. But Su Jian wasn't buying it. Sword emperor? You'd need emperor-level skills before you could even start teaching me that, right? His master was different. When he helped awaken his physique, he'd also handed him the emperor-level technique Eternal Sword Way. A complete set of emperor-level skills, specifically swordsmanship. Could any sect here top that? So, both out of gratitude and practicality, there was no way he'd betray his master. I've thought it through. I'll never betray master. Thank you for your consideration. Su Jian said firmly. Ye Chen was pleased. This kid had heart and loyalty. Taking him as a disciple was well worth it. Just then, Ye Chen got a system notification. Host triggers a random mission. Make the name of Kunlun Holy Land legendary throughout the Falling Moon realm. Rewards will depend on task completion. System, you're too good to me. Dropping this mission at the perfect time. Maybe a treasure would have been more appropriate. Ye Chen grinned. Time to get to work in the Falling Moon realm. Kunlun Holy Land was going to be world famous, starting with the Falling Moon realm. Qingshu's sect leader wasn't happy with Su Jian's answer. The other elders all eyed Ye Chen, unimpressed, and if Su Jian didn't want to betray his master, there was an easy fix. Just off the master, and it wouldn't be betrayal, right? Killing a nobody to get the supreme sword bone wasn't something they'd lose sleep over. Kid, I'd advise you to be a little more understanding, or you'll have nobody to blame but yourself. Qingshu's sect leader glared at Ye Chen, a clear threat dripping with murderous intent. He wasn't hiding his intentions, and the temperature in Fulong Mountains dropped, with countless invisible sword energies filling the air. Everyone felt a sharp, stinging sensation, like they'd be torn to shreds by the slightest move. Oh, Su Lingyun whispered, sensing trouble. Qingshu's sect leader was going for the kill. He was about to attack that boy. She didn't know Ye Chen, but she'd liked him instantly. Her gut told her he was special. Su Lingyun decided to reveal her identity and save Ye Chen. She was only at the void refining stage, no match for Qingshu's sword sect, but she had Luoyue Holy Land behind her. Qingshu's sect leader wouldn't dare mess with them. Sister, let's get ready to step in, Tao Yaoyao whispered. She didn't know why, but she liked the mysterious boy too. He faced pressure from multiple sects without flinching, even smiling. That calm and confident vibe was captivating. Su Lingyun and Tao Yaoyao were ready to jump in and protect Ye Chen. Everyone else watched Ye Chen, half expecting to see him fall. Maybe this kid was a bit strange, but he was up against Qingshu's sword sect, and several other powerful groups. Would he even make it through the day? Master. Su Jian tensed up. His sword sense was sharp, and he knew exactly how dangerous Qingshu's sect leader was right now. Ye Chen gave him a reassuring look and said softly, with me as your teacher, there is no other on earth like me. Su Jian was stunned. There is no other on earth like me? What confidence! Qingshu's sect leader scoffed. We gave you your chance. You chose this path. Don't blame us for what happens next. He pointed a finger at Ye Chen, turning it into a massive, hundreds of feet long sword that came crashing down. One finger from an integration stage master had the power to shatter mountains and split oceans. Using it on some kid was overkill. Oh no, Su Lingyun paled. Before she could announce her identity, Qingshu's sect leader had moved too fast. Nobody could stop that sword. The sword grew larger, and panic set in. Even if it didn't hit them directly, the aftershock would be enough to knock them senseless. Ye Chen looked up at Qingshu's sect leader with a smirk, then casually snapped his fingers. Snap! The giant sword that was about to fall apart vanished into nothingness and, without warning, Qingshu's sect leader exploded into a cloud of blood mist, the stench of it raining down from above. Chapter 26 The Cooperation of 7 Strong Men in the Integration Stage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Crash! Blood rained down, painting the sky crimson. Everyone was stunned. It had all happened so fast. No one could even see what had happened. People just felt a warm drizzle, which then turned cold as it landed on their faces. Confused, everyone looked at Ye Chen, who had just snapped his fingers and lowered his hand. They then looked at where Master Qingshu had been standing, but he was gone. He'd vanished completely. Not even a trace of his aura remained. What just happened? Wasn't Master Qingshu about to take out that young guy with a huge sword? Someone mumbled. The sword light, where did it go? It just disappeared. I don't know. It just exploded. What was that? Confusion reigned. Some people frantically searched for any sign of Master Qingshu. Why are we covered in blood? Could this be? Finally, the realization dawned. The rain of blood wasn't normal. All eyes snapped back to Ye Chen, his face calm. It was right after he snapped his fingers that everything changed. He killed the Qingshu sect leader with a snap of his fingers. Was that even possible? An unprecedented wave of fear and shock washed over everyone. Su Lingyun and Tao Yaoyao were terrified. They had been prepared to reveal their identities to save Ye Chen's life. After all, the Qingshu sect leader himself had stepped in. But instead, he just snapped his fingers and turned the guy into a bloody mist. What kind of insane power was that? Looking at Ye Chen's composed and handsome face, Su Lingyun's heart pounded, filled with panic and dread. The sheer pressure this young man exuded surpassed even most of the Holy Land's higher-ups. Could they really have stumbled upon some mysterious powerhouse here? Sis, guess we don't need to step in anymore. Tao Yaoyao said, dumbfounded. Su Lingyun nodded blankly. It seemed that way. The leaders from the Qingshu Sword Sect, Tiangang Dao Sect, Jubao Tian Sect, and others were equally stunned. They couldn't believe what they'd witnessed. They knew damn well that Qingshu Sect Master was a force to be reckoned with. Among those in the integration stage, very few could stand against him, plus, being a sword cultivator, his fighting ability was off the charts. Nobody present would dare claim they could kill the Qingshu Sect Master in one shot. Yet this strange kid had just done the impossible. What did that mean? It meant he was on a whole other level. The integration stage big shots stared at Ye Chen with open fear. Before this, they had no idea he possessed such immense power. The Qingshu Sword Sect officials were the most shocked and enraged. Their sect leader had just exploded into a puff of blood, and they didn't sense a thing. They hadn't detected any unusual cultivation fluctuations at all. How the hell did that kid do it? Regardless, murderous intent now consumed them. Ye Chen had killed their leader. If they just stood there, what kind of face would they have left? Who are you? Why did you kill our sect leader? Killing our sect leader is the same as declaring war on the Qingshu Sword Sect. Do you even realize what you've done? You're a monster. Someone like you left unchecked will bring chaos to the entire Luoyue realm. That the remaining 5 elders of the Qingshu Sword Sect pointed their swords at Ye Chen, loudly condemning him, but they were too scared to attack. One elder was so angry his beard was twitching, and his sword gleamed with a cold light. But he still hesitated to make a move. The louder they yelled, the more terrified they seemed. Everyone, this person is a huge threat and must be eliminated. Let's join forces and avenge my sect leader, that the senior elder shouted, trying to rally everyone to the Qingshu Sword Sect's cause, but no one was that dumb. You expect us to risk our lives just because you asked nicely? The leader of the Jubao Tianzong was the first to speak up. We, Jubao Tianzong, want no part of this. In our humble opinion, this is all just a misunderstanding. Since that young man doesn't want to join our sect, we respect his decision. If you'll excuse us, we'll be on our way. And with that, he beat a hasty retreat with the rest of the Jubao Tianzong crew. He wasn't a fool. That kid could kill the Qingshu Sect Master in the blink of an eye, so he could do the same to him. Jubao Tianzong never made deals where they might get screwed, especially not ones that could get them killed. We, the Shadow Moon Sect, are out of here. That the Shadow Moon Sect was just as pragmatic. They knew the other guy was a powerful mystery, so why stir up trouble? Why offer up their heads for no good reason? Luckily, it was the Qingshu Sword Sect's leader who bought the farm, not theirs. Haran Pavilion, just remembered that the elixir we're brewing hasn't been uncovered yet. Let's head back and check on that. Haran Pavilion just invented an excuse and cleared out. The Qingshu Sword Sect was fuming. Were they seriously just going to run away like that? Don't go, friends. Help us avenge our sect leader, and we'll reward you handsomely. The Qingshu Sword Sect elders desperately called out to the Tiangang Dao Sect and Guiyuan Sect, who hadn't left yet. Hearing that there was a reward involved, the Tiangang Dao Sect and Guiyuan Sect exchanged glances and decided they might be interested. That strange kid was strong, sure, but he couldn't possibly handle 17 fusion realm masters at once, right? Besides, when he killed the Qingshu Sect Master, he probably caught him by surprise with some cheap trick. As long as they were careful, the kid's advantage would be gone. With 17 integration stage masters ganging up on him, how hard could it be to take him down? The heads of Guiyuan Sect and Tiangang Dao Sect declared that they would decide the price after they captured Ye Chen. The Qingshu Sword Sect got shafted with a steep asking price. It stung, but they didn't have much of a choice. Fine. We can talk about it later. An elder from the Qingshu Sword Sect gritted his teeth and agreed. in an instant, 17 superpowered integration stage masters unleashed their terrifying auras, creating a massive wave that crashed down on Ye Chen alone. Chapter 27 crushed them all to death with one hand. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A total of 17 masters at the fusion stage. Talk about a serious power trip. One fusion stage master is already a force to be reckoned with, but 17 of them ganging up on a single person. Unbelievable, the pressure they exerted was insane. Anyone within 100 feet of Ye Chen was getting crushed, coughing up blood. And that was the lucky ones. Plenty just straight up bled out. Su Lingyun and Tao Yaoyao, being at the void refinement stage, were the toughest, but even they felt like their bodies and souls were about to shatter. Thankfully, a split second later, an invisible force radiated from Ye Chen, completely neutralizing the 17 masters' combined attack. If not, everyone within 100 feet would have been toast. He wasn't sweating the casualties, though. He was focused on protecting his favorite disciple, Su Jian. So Su Lingyun and the others were basically getting a free pass thanks to Su Jian. Interesting, Ye Chen said with a faint smile, but your power is still too weak to really grab my attention. That everyone else just stared, speechless. Dude, can you lay off the shock and awe for a minute? All 17 fusion stage bosses teaming up is enough to steamroll the Qingxiu sword sect, and he's saying it's not even interesting. They're not strong enough. What kind of firepower would it take to get a rise out of him? But nobody thought Ye Chen was just running his mouth. After all, a guy who can one-shot a fusion stage master has earned the right to be cocky. Su Lingyun and Tao Yaoyao were equally stunned. This kid was off the charts arrogant, even compared to the top-tier geniuses from the Holy Land, although, those geniuses probably would look a little ordinary next to him. The Qingxiu sword sect, Guiyuan sect, and Tiangang Dao sect were seething at Ye Chen's words. These were veteran powerhouses, legends in their own right. Now they'd formed a super alliance, a force unlike anything they'd seen before. And he was just going to disrespect them like that? Formation. The 5 elders of the Qingxiu sword sect launched into a massive sword formation, the Shifang Wuji sword formation, which could double their power. Even Mahayana stage powerhouses would think twice about tangling with this thing. The 10 directions infinite sword formation is Qingxiu sword sect's ultimate move. It's so potent, it's practically at the immortal level. Su Lingyun clearly knew her stuff about these sect's techniques and immediately recognized the danger of the sword formation. The Tiangang Daozong folks also knew better than to try fighting solo, so they jumped into formation. 2. Tiangang Galaxy Inversion Formation. The Tiangang Dao sect yelled, their energy surging like dragons. They locked together in a complex formation, cranking out even more raw power. Buzz. A gigantic, sky-filling formation materialized, twinkling with starlight in reverse. It was unreal. Not to be outdone, the Guiyuan sect folks rolled out a flaming glacier formation. These clashing forces created a devastating killing field. The 10 directions infinite sword formation, the Tiangang Galaxy Inversion Formation, and the flaming glacier formation. 3 terrifying formations unleashed at once, barreling towards Ye Chen, ready to obliterate him. Sensing Su Jian's rising anxiety, Ye Chen gently touched his arm and said, "Disciple, remember this, as a member of the Kunlun Holy Land, the first rule is to keep a cool head even if a mountain is about to fall. You still need to work on your composure. Ask your senior brother and sister for advice when you get a chance." Ye Chen reminded him. Reassured by his master's calm demeanor, Su Jian felt his spirits lift. Yes, master. Unbeknownst to them, everyone else was losing their minds. At a moment like this, with everything on the line, he's still got time for lessons. Doesn't he care about his own hide? In a heartbeat, the power of the 3 formations was bearing down on Ye Chen, seemingly ready to erase him from existence. But just when everyone thought Ye Chen was done for, they saw him calmly raise his palms. The force of the 3 formations was stopped dead by an invisible barrier. They couldn't budge an inch. The 3 sect's members were straining, faces red, pushing their power to the absolute limit. But no matter what, the formations were locked in place. Ye Chen casually instructed Su Jian, "Disciple, remember that our Kunlun Holy Land bows to no one. We don't need to worry about these small fries. Su Jian was practically glowing with excitement, nodding fiercely. Damn, his master was a beast. Now he understood what his master meant. His master could hold back the full might of 3 formations with a single hand. With power like that, why would they be scared of the Qingxiu sword sect? With Ye Chen's guidance, Su Jian's perspective was shifting rapidly. This was the mentality a Kunlun Holy Land disciple should have. Watch closely, disciple. Ye Chen clenched his fingers, tightening his grip. The invisible force followed suit, clamping down on the power of the 3 formations. Boom! An earth-shattering roar ripped through the air as the 3 formations were crushed by Ye Chen. Their unleashed power exploded outward. If it had hit the Fulong Mountains, the entire range would have been leveled. Everyone was terrified, realizing that even a sliver of that energy would be enough to kill them all. Now they understood what it meant to be an ant. And weren't they all just ants? Thankfully, Ye Chen was in control. None of the power escaped, and it eventually dissipated on its own. Pooh! The powerhouses from the 3 sects were hit with a massive backlash, spitting up blood and flying backward. It was a gruesome sight. Impossible. Impossible. How could the 3 great formations fail to defeat him? They were in full-blown panic. When their strongest attacks had 0 effect, they finally understood the saying, there are people beyond people, and there is heaven beyond heaven. What kind of monster had they provoked? The Tiangang Dao sect and Guiyuan sect folks were kicking themselves the hardest. They'd gotten greedy, chasing the money, and agreed to help. Now their lives were on the line. Crushing 3 major formations with one hand and badly injuring 17 fusion stage masters. Was this even humanly possible? Was this some kind of superboss playing innocent and coming out to wreck the place? Senior, our greed led us down the wrong path. The Tiangang Dao sect members were begging for mercy, praying for their lives, but from the moment they attacked Ye Chen, their fate was sealed. Ye Chen closed his palms again, as if holding the whole world in his hands. The 17 fusion stage masters were just bugs struggling in his grip. He squeezed his hand, crushing them without breaking a sweat. Another torrential downpour of blood. This time, the world went silent. Chapter 28. The time limit is 3 days, one by one comes to the door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cold blood splattered his face. Maybe having seen something like this already, people weren't as scared or shocked anymore. Maybe they'd also silently agreed on one thing, this young man was truly something else. One move was all it took to see the limits of this realm. Still, the image of him taking down 17 combined stage bosses with a single hand was burned into everyone's minds. They probably wouldn't see anything like it again. Hush fell over the place. Silently, everyone wiped the blood off their faces and turned to look at Ye Chen, who looked as calm as ever. He was spotless, his white clothes as white as snow, elegant and serene. You'd never guess he was the one who just crushed 17 integration stages with one hand. Su Jian was pumped. His master was that powerful. Could he reach those heights one day? The thought filled him with excitement for the future. Becoming master's disciple was the best decision he'd ever made. Alright, let's go, disciple. It's not every day you're in the Luoyue realm. Gotta look around, right? Ye Chen waved to Su Jian and left, leaving everyone speechless. That's when Mu Yan and Guing Luo rushed over. Master, you were so badass back there. This disciple is so proud, Mu Yan said with a flattering smile, then looked at Su Jian. You must be the 3rd junior brother, right? Let me introduce myself. I'm senior brother Mu Yan, and this is 2nd senior sister Guing Luo. You can call her sister-in-law if you want, no problem. Mu Yan raised his eyebrows, looking pleased with himself. Senior brother. Senior sister. Su Jian greeted them cautiously. He was surprised by the way senior brother Mu Yan's body felt like a melting pot, constantly radiating incredible energy. His senior sister, on the other hand, felt ethereal, like she was both far away and right next to you, a truly mysterious feeling. His senior brother and sister were no ordinary people. Their talents weren't anything to scoff at. What kind of sect had he joined? Master, where's our sect? I want to visit. Su Jian asked eagerly. If his master was this powerful, and his senior brother and sister this talented, what must Kunlun Holy Land be like? Mu Yan just grinned. Junior brother, you're in for a surprise when we get back. Hearing that only made Su Jian itch to see it even more, but Ye Chen had no plans to return to the sect yet. The system had given him a side quest, asking him to spread the name of Kunlun Holy Land throughout the Luoyue realm. He still had a ways to go on that quest. Relax, I heard Huangxian Tower in Luoyue realm has the best music. Let's catch a show first. If those sects don't come looking for us in 3 days, we'll go visit them and soothe their hurt feelings. Ye Chen said with a smile. He wasn't exactly the forgiving type. Qingshu Sword Sect, Guiyuan Sect, and Tiangang Dao Sect had all been plotting to kill him, and he'd only just taken out a few of their top dogs. How could he just let it go? Soothe. Guing Luo looked confused. Mu Yan and Su Jian were equally puzzled. They thought they were here for revenge. How did soothing come into it? Ye Chen sighed. That's right. Always remember that the Kunlun Holy Land way is to be confident and self-reliant, and to win people over with reason. These sects have lost their leaders, so they must be bummed. We're not unreasonable people, so we should pay them a visit and do our best to comfort them. Hearing that, the 3 disciples seemed to get it. They weren't sure what Master was getting at, but it did sound reasonable. Soon, the 4 masters and disciples of Ye Chen were at Huangxian Tower, drinking wine, eating meat, and listening to a little ditty. The girl singing the ditty was Huangxian Tower's top performer. She had a great voice, but the tune she was singing was too cliché and not Ye Chen's style. Don't you guys at Huangxian ever update your songs? I'm gonna teach you one. Just listen up. Ye Chen downed a bottle of wine and got into it. He taught her one of the most popular songs from his Blue Star life. Your little smile is as beautiful as a cock. Soon, the song Black Plum Chicken Sauce was all over Huangxian Tower. The new tune and style was a hit with everyone. At the same time, word got out that Ye Chen was planning on visiting the various sects in 3 days. Everyone knew about it. It caused a stir in the Luoyue realm. What the heck? Who's this Kunlun Holy Land? Saying they're gonna visit all the major forces in 3 days. That sounds kinda cocky, doesn't it? Holy Land. Never heard of this Holy Land in Luoyue realm. I've never even heard of it in Dongxing continent, or even the entire wild immortal world. Where'd they come from? Probably a fake Holy Land, right? Anyone can call themselves a Holy Land these days. Aren't they worried about getting smited by the real Holy Lands? That when the news spread, many people who didn't know the full story thought it was hilarious. They figured some nobody sect was just trying to latch onto the reputation of a real Holy Land to get noticed. They even planned to visit all the major sects. All to boost their name. Lots of people treated Kunlun Holy Land as a joke, thinking those sects would definitely give them trouble. Just you wait. But then a new piece of news dropped that floored anyone who didn't know what was up. The Lord of Kunlun Holy Land had straight up slapped the core leaders of the 3 biggest sects, Guiyuan Sect, Qingshu Sword Sect, and Tiangang Dao Sect, to death at the Fulong Mountains Genius Exchange. Whoa! This news was a bombshell in the Luoyue realm. Keep in mind, the core senior leaders of sects like Qingshu Sword Sect were at least at the integration stage. Their sect leader was a top dog in the integration stage. That kind of power might not be top tier in the wild immortal world, but they definitely weren't pushovers. How could someone at that level be taken down with one hand? For real. Aside from being shocked, a lot of people thought it was unbelievable. It sounded too crazy and like a tall tale. Many even thought Kunlun Holy Land was deliberately spreading lies to make a name for themselves, using the major sects as a stepping stone to get famous. Even if the rumors turned out to be false, Kunlun Holy Land would have already achieved its goal of getting their name out there. But then the people who'd been at the Fulong Mountain spoke up, swearing everything they said was true. the Lord of Kunlun Holy Land really had killed the heads of the three major sects, plus their key leaders, all by himself. If just one or two people said it, no one would believe it, but when thousands, even hundreds of thousands, or millions of people said it, you kinda had to believe it. Chapter 29 Disciples' Crazy Breakthrough, the ancestor who wakes up during the tribulation period. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Word had spread like wildfire through the Fulong Mountains. There were probably hundreds of millions of people there that day, but only Ye Chen's inner circle really knew what had happened. As soon as they left the Fulong Mountains, they couldn't wait to spill the beans. The rumors are true. I saw it myself. The head of Kunlun Holy Land straight up slapped the leader of Qingshu into oblivion, and that pissed off the big three sects. Those sects tried to dogpile him with some crazy formation, but they just got their butts handed to them. Seriously, you wouldn't believe it. He handled them like they were flies. Unbelievable. 17 dudes in the integration stage, and he just blasted them into dust. Just thinking about it gives me the chills. Where the heck did this Kunlun Holy Land come from? Is it actually the real deal, that with these first-hand accounts, the hype became real? I was in the Fulong Mountains too. I was too far away to see much, but those big shots definitely got smoked in one hit. No wonder I felt so freaked out. We almost ended up 6 feet under without even realizing it. So, Kunlun Holy Land wasn't kidding. Are they really coming for them in 3 days? Once everyone realized Kunlun Holy Land wasn't bluffing, they started looking forward to the showdown, which sect would face the music first. Or would Kunlun Holy Land take the fight to them? The whole Luoyue realm turned into a giant popcorn-eating contest, with everyone waiting for those 3 days to tick by. Meanwhile, Jubao Tianzong, Shadow Moon Sect, and Haran Pavilion were watching the situation from the shadows. They were smart enough not to cross Ye Chen, but they were still sweating bullets, wondering if he'd lump them in two. But so far, so good, right? Thousands of miles out from Huangxian Pavilion, Master Haran, Master Ingyue, and Master Jubao were breathing a sigh of relief. Those 3 sects are gutted, they're not even half as strong as they used to be. Imagine if that happened to us. The head of Jubao sect shook his head. He was just glad he booked it when things got dicey. Otherwise, he'd be toast. Qingshu's sword sect always had to be showy. Well, look at them now. Seriously, where'd Kunlun Holy Land come from? Did a new Holy Land just pop up out of nowhere, that they got together to chew the fat, and they were all patting themselves on the back for not picking a fight with Kunlun Holy Land? Otherwise, disaster would have struck. No matter what, Kunlun Holy Land is too hot to handle. When we get back, we tell our disciples to give anything from Kunlun Holy Land a wide berth, even the stray dogs. Pavilion Master Haran was dead serious, he was straight up terrified. Ye Chen turning the Qingshu sect leader into a greasy spot with a snap of his fingers, and crushing 17 integration stage powerhouses with a slap. That made him want to crawl under a rock. When we get back, we're shutting down the mountain for 3 years. Best to stay out of the mix. The leader of the Shadow Moon sect looked grim, but the sect master of Jubao Tianzong couldn't help but grin. Hey, isn't this a golden ticket for us? Those 3 sects are done for, so ain't it our time to shine? I gotta know, what happens in 3 days? Those 3 sect leaders were just chilling, watching the whole thing go down, and pretending it wasn't their problem. All they had to do was wait and see. Back at the Qingshu sword sect, the news of their leader's death hit them like a ton of bricks, especially the loss of 5 fusion stage elders. The whole place was in a panic. 6 integration stage masters, gone just like that. For Qingshu sword sect, this was doomsday. Losing that much top talent in one swoop meant their overall power had been gutted. From now on, Qingshu's sword sect would have to play it safe and lay low, and after the sleeping ancestors got the news, they also woke up to take the reins and keep the sect from falling apart. In the main hall of Qingshu's sword sect, over a dozen integration stage masters were gathered. The 3 old guys in the spotlight were the ancestors of Qingshu's sword sect, and they had already reached the tribulation stage. They were one step away from true immortality. They were the top dogs in the sect, focused solely on breaking through to the true immortal realm. They wouldn't wake up unless the sect was on its last legs, but now even the leader was gone. If they didn't step up, the whole sect would fall apart. After hearing the report, the 3 tribulation stage ancestors were lost in thought. Someone who could casually wipe out 17 integration stage masters with a single slap must be at least a Mahayana stage cultivator, a real heavy hitter, or maybe they were already in the tribulation stage themselves. This is way too important. We don't know the enemy's strength, and we've already taken a beating. We can't just rush in. An ancestor spoke with a dark tone. It wasn't cowardice, it was just that their main goal was to reach the true immortal realm. If they could get to that level, Qingshu Sword Sect could bounce back stronger than ever. Until then, they would play it safe. Many elders were grumbling about the decision, but the ancestor had spoken, so they were stuck with it. Their strategy was simple: hunker down for 3 days. If Kunlun Holy Land didn't come knocking after 3 days, it meant they were all talk and had no guts to attack Qingshu Sword Sect. Then, they would come down like a hammer, wipe out those Kunlun Holy Land punks, and restore the name of Qingshu Sword Sect. 3 days ain't much for a cultivator, it's gone in a blink. But everyone was on edge. Those 3 days felt like forever. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the 3 days were up, and day 4 arrived. In the fanciest penthouse of Huangxian Tower, Ye Chen was overseeing his 3 disciples' training. He had blanketed Huangxian Tower with his formation and set up a super spirit gathering array to suck up all the spiritual energy around. This wasn't even close to Kunlun Holy Land's environment, but it would have to do. Ye Chen thought it was nothing special, but it was a game changer for the members of Huangxian Tower. The whole place, from the servants to the maids, from the guards to the managers, even the geishas, were in heaven, and folks were leveling up left and right. Of the 3 disciples, Su Jian was the weakest, so he was leveling up the fastest. Just 3 days ago, he was at foundation building level 1. Now, he was at level 5. That's some crazy progress. After Guing Luo unlocked the supreme immortal body, her strength exploded. She was already at the peak of the foundation building stage and ready to jump to the golden core stage any minute. Mu Yen was the strongest. She went from golden core level 4 to level 5. All 3 of them opened their eyes, feeling the raw, ocean-like spiritual power surging through them, and they couldn't be happier. Su Jian was pumped. Controlling power felt so awesome. Alright, it's been 3 days. Looks like they're playing hard to get. Let's go and soothe their wounded pride, Ye Chen said with a smile, then got up and left with his disciples. Kunlun Holy Land, was all about bringing people around with reason. He was sure the Qingshu Sword Sect would see things his way. Chapter 30: The Reasonable Kunlun Holy Land. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Outside Huangxian Tower, a huge crowd had already gathered, buzzing with anticipation. When Ye Chen and his disciples finally appeared, the crowd went wild, following them at a safe distance. The first surprise came when Ye Chen, instead of heading straight for the Qingshu Sword Sect, produced a massive plaque from thin air. Scrawled across it were 8 bold characters: Kunlun Holy Land, we convince with reason. Su Jian and Mu Yen strained under its weight at either end. The crowd was baffled. What were these guys up to? Convince with reason? Yeah, right. More like, we'll beat you senseless and then tell you it was for your own good, right? Give me a break. Initially, people kept a good half-mile away, remembering Ye Chen's brutal strength, but as time wore on, some started inching closer, venturing within 100 feet without incident. Emboldened, even more people joined the throng trailing Ye Chen. Mu Yen, lugging the sign, felt a vague sense of shame she couldn't quite explain. Su Jian, on the other hand, wore a serious expression. He felt like his master was personally teaching him the true meaning of the Kunlun Holy Land. That's right, the Kunlun Holy Land convinces with reason. They're about justice, not mindless violence. Ye Chen wasn't rushing. He wanted to get the word out about the Kunlun Holy Land. After most of the day, they finally arrived at the peak of Qingshu Sword Sect. Remember, Ye Chen reminded his disciples, we're all about reason. We don't just barge into places unless we absolutely have to. They all nodded solemnly, feeling like they were receiving invaluable life lessons. Qingshu's sword sect had seen them coming. Thousands of disciples stood massed before the mountain gate, geared up for a fight. A dozen figures radiating immense power soared into the sky, facing Ye Chen and his group from above. Elder, they're really here. What do we do? That the newly appointed acting sect leader nervously turned to the three elders for guidance. The elders remained silent, carefully scrutinizing Ye Chen, trying to gauge his true power. Their formidable spiritual senses swept over him, encountering no resistance. One of the elders frowned. The kid seemed to have no energy at all, but did he seem like someone who was about to transcend tribulation? I'm getting a strong Mahayana vibe. Another elder disagreed. Really? I'm picking up peak integration stage. Am I missing something? The third elder looked confused. Why were they all getting different readings from the same guy? Which one of them was right? Something's definitely off with this kid. He's not just integration stage. How else could he have wiped out so many integration stage masters in one shot? The most likely explanation is that he's at the peak of Mahayana, maybe even tribulation stage. And as for why we're getting different readings, he must be using some kind of technique or magical item to mask his aura, throwing us off. The first elder offered the most logical explanation, which the other two grudgingly accepted. As long as he wasn't some kind of actual immortal, they could handle it. Bolstered by the elder's presence, the acting sect leader regained his confidence and flew forward to confront Ye Chen. You brazen thief! You slaughtered our people and now you dare show your face here. You've got a death wish. The acting sect leader's voice boomed, echoing across the land. His body crackled with nascent sword intent, radiating imposing power. Ye Chen smiled. Your former sect leader was a tyrant, hated by many. Getting rid of him was not only justice, but it also saved your sect from future calamities. Everyone's jaws dropped. This guy was the one who crushed the man, and he was making it sound like a public service. The entire Qingshu sword sect seethed, feeling utterly humiliated. How could he spout such sanctimonious nonsense after killing their leader? The acting sect leader's chest heaved like a set of bellows, his eyes burning with rage. Ye Chen, seemingly oblivious, continued calmly, so, you can rest assured that he won't be dragging your name through the mud anymore. We're not unreasonable people. We've done you a huge favor, but we won't take all the credit. The Qingshu sword sect was beyond furious, practically grinding their teeth into powder. The acting sect leader's control snapped, and he trembled with barely contained fury. You won't leave here alive, the acting sect leader roared, finally unleashing his pent-up power in a volcanic eruption. The sheer force of it sent chills down the spines of the spectators. Only Ye Chen remained unfazed, smiling genially. Your sect is so welcoming. Are you inviting us to stay? No need. I'm just here to collect some fees. Then I have to hit up the other two companies. Ye Chen's words left everyone dumbfounded. Fees? What fees? What was he even talking about? We helped you clean up your mess and salvaged the good name of Qingshu sword sect. Shouldn't you pay something? Are you being reasonable? Ye Chen explained patiently. That was the last straw. The acting sect leader's eyes bulged, he coughed up blood, and his aura flickered. You shameless bastard! The acting sect leader pointed at Ye Chen with a trembling finger, starting to question his sanity. The crowd's jaws hit the ground. He was charging them for cleaning up their mess. This was insane. The entire Qingshu sword sect exploded in anger, drawing their swords and vowing to fight Ye Chen to the death. One of the elders, finally losing his cool, appeared in the sky, his face contorted with rage. You killed our people and now you come to insult us. I'll take your life today. This elder had a short fuse. The full force of his tribulation stage cultivation slammed into the world. The pressure alone pinned countless spectators to the ground. Even the leaders of Jubao Tian's sect, Haran Pavilion, and Ninhua sect, who were watching from the shadows, paled and their eyes widened in terror. It's Xianjian. That's Xianjian. I knew he couldn't be dead. That power is terrifying. Has he reached true immortality? That's the true power of Qingshu Sword Sect. Kunlun Holy Land is in deep trouble this time, the observing sect leaders couldn't help but exclaim, recognizing the old man as a legendary swordsman from the Luoyue realm 10,000 years ago.